This is N4LQ, November 4, Lima, Quebec, 1864 KC AM. Is there anybody out there that would like to check in? Call now.
KN4R. KN4R.
I got KN4 twice. Who was the other station?
WA4EBK.
All right, got you, Boone. I'll stand by here a minute and see if anybody else will join up. If it gets too bad, we can probably switch to upper sideband. Would be our best bet, but so far you guys sound okay tonight. Anybody else want to check in? Give me a call. All right, well, I guess we can go ahead and get started then. Let's see here. Be sure if something isn't overloaded. So, yep, running the old Valiant tonight, and 130 watts, and did a little modification on the antenna, the infed out there today, and disconnected the ground from the transformer and put a common mode choke on the coax and hooked the ground to the shack side of that. And then I put a counterpoise about 25 feet coming off the transformer, and ended up getting a lower SWR. I don't know about as far as radiation goes, if it made any difference or not. Can't really tell. It's going to take a little effort to figure that one out, but that's the main accomplishment for today, other than going out and getting the mail. KN4R, how you doing, Brian? N4LQ.
All right, Steve, N4LQ, and Boone, WA4EBK. This is Brian, KN4R, Cheryl's 4. I'm doing fine. I'm getting over my crud here, and I didn't do much radio-wise today. Went to the store, did some other errands. We're starting to set up for our hosting on Monday. So that's about it. So had a nice email from a fella out in California asking if I had done anything with the SRT-14 transmitter here. He says he has one, and he says he powered it up once, but the synthesizer wasn't working. So that kind of stumped him, and then he moved. And transmitter didn't come with him, so he still owns the other house. So it's just the transmitter's too heavy to use or too big to use in his existing shack, he says. So anyway, it was an interesting exchange, but you're sounding good, Steve. 40 over here. So over to you, Boone. What's going on? WA4EBK in the group, KN4R.
KN4R in the group, WA4EBK. Hope you guys can copy me okay. Running the usual 40 watts. I've been busy with the radio today, right? And reworked the fan and fan mount and so forth for the linear, and I should have it back together tomorrow evening. Steve, I built a pressure box for pushing air in the purse in the back of that thing, which also serves as an acoustic damper. I lined it with acoustic foam. And with the vent on the side, I lined it with acoustic foam. I built some outboard mufflers. I'll have to take pictures and show you, because you can't describe it, but it never circulated air outside the cabinet. It always circulated air in the cabinet. Now they changed that completely when they went to the next model about 3 years later, so I think they used because of the transformers burning out and so forth. But I'm about finished with it finally after mostly waiting on parts. So over to you, N4LQ, WA4EVK.
Okay, WA4EVK, N4LQ, solid copy. Boone. Anybody else want to check in? We'll take a quick standby.
Ho, W4JPL.
W4JPL. Howdy, John. Good to hear you. Are you feeling better tonight? Go ahead and then turn it back to me.
All right. So I'm adjusting my power here a little bit. Wait a second. There we go. Hello. That's probably gooder. Good morning or good evening, everybody. I feel a little better. Had a really busy day here. Had my wife's son come over and he helped me put a hot water heater in and he blew the leaves all around and we did a whole bunch of projects together, so I am somewhat kind of tired. N4LQ, W4JPL.
A new hot water heater. What kind did you get?
I don't remember a round one.
Oh, one of those round ones that holds water. All right. Yeah, I think somebody was, that must have been your buddy up there, Tony, that was talking about the tankless that he got. I think he said his is electric, which is kind of scary. Man, those things, they take some major power, but I guess they work. I've never run across one. Mine's a tankless, but it's gas. And that thing uses, I think it's 200,000 BTU, which is considerably more than our furnace. So they got to have a pretty good sized gas pipe going to them, because they got to heat water up quick. Anyway, fine on the fan, Boone, and well, I guess that's why you're not using it on 160, I suppose. And I think you're talking about the Swan amplifier having inadequate cooling. So, yeah, I hope you can get that on so we can get a little more power out of you, hear you a little bit better. You're kind of, well, you're not real strong, but I'm able to copy okay. And that station down on 1860 WA0RCR, I do believe that he broadcast nonstop on Saturday from daylight to dawn, because I got on this morning fairly early and could hear him. I listened down here, and then I switched over to an SDR that's out that way, somewhere out past St. Louis. And I was picking him up meter peggingly strong out there until it was 10 o'clock, and I just got tired of listening to it and turned it off. Some of the programming is pretty interesting, and you know, it's not bad programming. It's better than anything the ARRL has. So I mean, it's really professionally done, and I found they got a website. Let's see, that was arnewsline.org. Yeah, AR, like amateur radio, newsline.org, and take a look at that. It's got an audio transcript of the broadcast and a whole bunch of news articles and stuff that you can read about. And I don't know if you've all seen that or not, but it's almost like reading a magazine. So it kind of reminded me of that nice newsletter that Winston-Salem crew up there has, Brian. Anybody else want to check in?
WF2 Whiskey Foxtrot 2 uniform.
All righty. Anybody else? Okay, Mir, WF2U, N4LQ. I got your recording. Appreciate that. It sounds good. And over to you for a transmission. Then, if you would, just turn it back to me, and then we'll start back around again.
Roger. N4LQ. And the group, I don't know yet who's here. This is WFW. Yeah, good evening. You are something like, let's see. Hold on. Hello. Okay. You are about 15 over 9. Maybe you'll, I'm sure you'll improve as we go into the evening. But the noise is very, very low. And yeah, you really sounded good on that radio. I mean, I was surprised how nicely it sounds, at least on receive on AM. But anyway, good job. So it's too bad I can't use it here because there is no AM on that band. I think it cuts off under 2 megahertz. But with the AM mode. Anyway, so back to you, Steve. And my recording, thanks. And that sounds, yeah, it sounds like a military radio, basically. So, N4LQ, WF2U.
Okay, WF2U, N4LQ. Thanks for that. Anybody else want to check in? Okay, Brian, on the SRT-14, I remember the day that we went up and got it. If that's the same one up on top of that mountain, about killed us all. So you found another one. I wondered how much power. It seemed like you told me once, like 100 or 150 watts or something like that. And yeah, its synthesizer is kind of scary. That would I don't know if there's a workaround where you can just feed a regular VFO into that thing or what. KN4R, N4LQ.
N4LQ in the group, KN4R. Well, good evening, John and Amir. And yes, Steve. Oh, thanks for that arnewsline.org. That's very interesting. I'll check that out. And we can slide up a little ways if you want to, or whatever you want to do. But I'm copying everybody okay. Yeah, the SRT-14 is a beautiful transmitter. Only puts out 100 watts though, and there is a 500 watt amplifier that was made to go with it, but it was a 3-phase thing, and I don't have it. So anyway, I don't know. I just this guy's in California, so and the transmitter is apparently in LA, and he's in Scotts Valley, which is outside of that. So you know, I don't think his is gonna happen, and I don't know. I need to get off my you-know-what and give it a try. So might be surprised. You never know. So, but the Valiant sounds good and very interesting on your antenna modifications today. You were 40 over at first transmission, so I don't know what that tells us. And Boone, very good on modifying your Swan amp or getting some high-pressure air in there. That's good. And John, congratulations on the honeydews you got doing, and also it sounds like your relatives there are blowing leaves. That's a great thing. So that's about it. Let's see. So it goes to Boone. Take it away, Boone. WA4EBK in the group. KN4R.
KN4R in the group. WA4EBK. Yeah. I listened to Steve's recording of this of the blower noise. Let's call it, coming out of the Swan. It had to do something. And I got in there and shelled out a bearing, and the fan never was as good a balance as I wanted. So I just basically started over with the fan and the motor and the shroud, and I cured the. So I've never been very happy with the fact it didn't circulate air outside the cabinet. So I put a positive pressure ventilation system on it, and I'm having to 3D print part of that right now. And after that, I'll have it on hopefully tomorrow at 4 o'clock on old friends Steve, I've got a different amp I've got to drag out and get going for 160. It's a amp supply, that non-tune beast that I told you about. If I can get it running on 160, that's all I care about. So I'll try that here probably next week to see what I get going with. I'll probably have to recap it, so who knows how long parts will take. If you can't find them on Amazon, you can be ready to wait a week or two and pay the overhead fee and everything else. It's pretty bad. Go out. A lot of suppliers don't want orders, and I can understand that way, but I've got a few sources anyway. And with that, I think it goes to Mir next, if I'm not correct. WS2U, take it, WA4EBK.
It goes to John, JPL, and then to Mir, and then to me.
All right, well, fine business, everybody. And good evening to Boone, good evening to Mir, and of course, Brian and Steve. Well, I'm still fighting the COVID a little bit, but I think I'm getting a little bit gooder every day. The hot water heater, the other one worked, but I just had a voice in my head to say change it. So what I don't like about this new hot water heater is it has no easy way to adjust the temperature. They set it at 120 degrees, and as far as I'm concerned, that's way too hot. So the first time I set it, it only came out to about, I think about 94 degrees, which wasn't warm enough. I bumped it up a little bit. Now it's 110. I may leave it there. I'm probably going to try to get it down around 105 or thereabouts. So I just got this thing about unnecessarily heating water to make it super hot. For what? So it's a waste of money. So as far as this guy that traded broadcast all day, I don't get that. I thought that was kind of against the rules about being an amateur radio operator, but I guess he's got some kind of loophole where he could do that. Over to you, Mr. Mir. Go ahead, W4JPL, Liberty.
Yeah, Roger. W4JPL and the group. This is WF2U. Yeah, very good. It's a little bit, I don't know, there are some closing QRM. I think I have to go to the sideband filter because there are all kinds of crud is coming in from the sides. Didn't have that last night, and glad, John, that you're feeling better as far as I heard from others. And Steve is booming in, and Brian, you were 5 and 9. Good copy. Congratulations on the SRT-14. I had one, but we didn't take it. When we moved, I sold it because there was more than enough to bring just the T368 and not another big monster. And for the size and the weight of the thing for 100 watts out was a little bit ridiculous. So I just sold it. Actually, interestingly enough, I bought it from what's his name? The guy with that big key collector. Now all of a sudden I can't remember his name. I went to New Jersey to his house to pick it up. He had 2 of them. And they're for 500 watts. You need the power supply with a big modulator because the final is there, but it's only 100 watts because the plate voltage is low just by itself, and the modulator is a small modulator that when you connect the big cube, it looks like a big cube. It's a short rack. That's the power supply and the big modulator, and the small modulator in the big rack drives the finals to modulate it on the 100 watt the 500 watt output. So yeah, I'm not sure whether they ever made a single phase power supply for it. Most of them, at least, were the 3-phase. Probably that's why nobody had them. It was just a big door stopper. Anyway, so that's some transmitter, and it's funny with that key that you have to when you change frequencies, you have that key that you turn the stuff with it, all the digits. It's really weird the way it was made, but you know, it's very impressive. Otherwise, very impressive looking. And what else? Yeah, thanks, Steve, for doing that little, the communications check with me this afternoon. It was really very useful to get a report. And now I don't have to. I know now how to program it and memorize it. But the first time I set it up, I have to look in the manual every time I even touched it. So now it's okay. Anyway, I think I might put it on the old friend's net tomorrow, because there is enough power and it doesn't sound too bad. So just something else to play with. Okay. So Steve Boone, you had a 5.9 carrier, but I think some of that signal strength came from all the crud from the side, because it was a little bit hard to make you out, but I copied 100%. And John, you were also okay, but again, there is some QRM. Hopefully, it will stop soon. N4LQ, this is WFTU.
All right, it's N4LQ. Do we have anybody else that would like to check in? And I am going to get on frequency here. Go ahead. All right, didn't hear anybody. Okay, Mir, on your 7300, I think what will help you is up there on the top left, the passband tuning. What I would do is tap the button and then get hold of both knobs at the same time, the concentric one and the middle one, and turn them clockwise over to the right, and that'll slide your passband away from that AMer down below us, and that may take out some of that stuff. And let's see, Boone, your audio has changed since I guess it was last night or when you were on last, because you did have a lot of good highs and stuff, and now you're back to being kind of flat and kind of it's not really punching through like it was the other night. And I don't know if you flipped the switch on the microphone or something got changed in the menu or what happened, but it just it did sound a lot better the last few times. So I don't know, you might take a look at that. But yeah, good luck on the fan. Hope you can get that going, and I'm anxious to hear that no tune amp supply amplifier. I don't think I've heard one on the air, so that'll be pretty cool to hear that baby. And I'd kind of like to have a bigger transmitter too. I'd like to have something with more power. I'm not too interested in using the linear. I'd rather just have a dedicated transmitter. But unfortunately, the Viking 500 nor the Desk KW will do 160, and it seems kind of odd since the Valiant and the Ranger 2 do. So I'm kind of looking around to see what's out there, see what's available. And I'd rather not get some 800-pound gorilla. I'd rather just have something. The Viking 500 would be great if it did 160, but I'm not into modifying it. So let's see, 120-degree hot water. I don't know, John. Mine's set at 125, and I would have preferred it at 120, but it doesn't matter too much with a tankless because it's not storing it anyway. What it does do, it's got a pump in it, and the pump circulates the water through the house every so many minutes. I think it's like every 10 or 15 minutes. The pump will just come on its own, circulate the water, and if it comes back too cool, it'll turn that thing on and heat the water back up. So the water in the pipes stay warm, and that way I don't get complaints from you-know-who. She has to have the water hot instantaneously, or she'll say, I turned the water on, it took a half an hour to warm up. So if I turn it down to 120, that automatically lengthens the time that it circulates the water. For some reason, its little computer doesn't know any better, and I can't do much about it. So that's the story on that thing. And yeah, SRT 13, that's a lot of weight for 100 watts. Boy, oh boy. I can see why that wasn't a big seller. But yeah, I guess you could use the parts to build something with it. Anyway, over to you again, Brian. KN4R, N4LQ.
Okay, Steve, very good. And the group, N4LQ, KN4R. All right, very good. Well, I didn't catch the part about Boone having a new no-tune amp. It sounds like it's an amp supply amp. That sounds interesting. So can't wait to hear that. And I thought his audio sounded pretty good that last time. He came way up from his from the first transmission, so I think the band's still changing quite a bit. And very good on everything, Mir. Regarding the external amp and the external modulator. It's very interesting. Instant hot water, boy, your wife would not like living in my house because it takes a minute or so to get the water going here. So, but I just turn it on and go brush my teeth real quick or something and jump in the shower. So it sounds like she's got a good setup there. Let's see, what else? 120 degrees sounds a little hot, but hey, whatever. Mir, I wonder if you got up for the MRCG net this morning. I did not. I slept through the old military radio net. I just didn't feel like getting up this morning. So anyway, let's keep it moving here. WA4EBK in the group, KN4R.
KN4R in the group, WA4EBK. Well, Brian, the amp I'm talking about is an Olin with sweep tubes, and what they called a no-tune amp was you made presets in it, and it's you basically pre-tuned each band for some spot in the band, and it would have a acceptable SWR and so forth, or I don't know how broadband the finals are because I haven't gotten around to putting it on the air, but evidently it's 100 to 200 kilohertz on the upper bands. I don't know what 160 and 80 is going to be. I really don't care because I bought it for a single band amp, so if I can get it running on 160, that's what I originally bought it for, then I'm fine. I don't care about that, but it's probably going to be a long road because those amps weren't the best in the world, and this one is put together with such close quarters, it's worse than a Dentron or something. It looks like you opened up the top and just packed it full of electronic components. Well, who knows? I guess we'll find out. Steve, I haven't changed anything on the audio section of this thing at all. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to John. W4 JPL, take it, W4EVK.
Alrighty, W84EVK in the group W4 JPL. I got most of what Boone said. That QRM from the broadcaster makes it a little rough, that's for sure. Okay, well, fine business. Well, like I said, I looked into tankless water heaters, and that just wasn't for me because I'm on well water. And that hot water heater we pulled out had probably about 50 or 60 pounds of sludge in it from 14 years of just settlement. So that would not be good for me. I prefer that. I like what I got. Like I said, the only thing is changing the temperature in this thing is a pain because you got to open up two covers, one for the upper element, one for the lower element, and you got to pull a whole bunch of crap out to get the little dial control to change the temperature. So I'll see what it's like when I take a shower in the morning. If it's I just got this thing. I don't want to be scalded. I go to my sister's house once or twice a year, and when I stay with her, I take a shower. And like out of habit, I just turn the hot water on, and I got to jump back out because it's so hot. It's got to be at least 125 degrees, and it all but scalds you. You got to turn on the cold water, and I don't know. It just seems wasteful to me to have to mix cold water with hot because we never run out of hot water. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Over to you, Mir, W4JPL.
Yeah, Roger. W4JPL, WF2. Yeah, Roger. Actually, Steve, by the way, the reason I was not playing with the pass band with filter 1, which is the AM filter setting, because it didn't do anything getting rid of the crud on the side, so I just simply switched to the sideband setting. The way the filter 2 that is configured, and it's much better that way. So I didn't even have to shift anything. It already cut it down. The AM is not as full as normal. It sounds a little bit restricted, but at least there is no interference. And Brian, I was on the MMRCG. There were not too many people. Conditions were so-so, but not too bad. And there were only like 7 people on. And I used, as usual, the Harris RF350 with the RF355 amplifier. And everybody heard me fine. I heard my K4IC, he came in pretty strong. And so we had stations from Florida, Maryland, Georgia. Besides that, so it was okay, and it was short. Everybody had to leave. Before Christmas, everybody has things to do, so it was only a half hour. After which I was playing with the ICOM IC M600 and started to program the frequencies that are the most commonly used by me on nets. So tomorrow, actually, and we ran Steve happened to be hearing me doing tests on 3885, so we chatted a little bit on AM there, and and I switched to 3715, and we exchanged some reports, and Steve recorded me, and I think I'll start using it maybe on the once in a while on the old Transnet, because about 40 plus watts carrier, it shouldn't be too bad. It looks like it has maybe a tad more power on AM than the AF67, maybe by 5 watts more. Anyway, so that's the story from here, and so what else? It was. I wonder, John. Something I remember from last night. Somebody was talking about the national 300 and the 303, the NC 303 and the 300. I have a 300 which I love, and I figured I don't need the 303 because I don't care that it doesn't have a product detector, because I'm not using that receiver on single sideband anyway. And CW, I'm so used to using just like the RF gain for volume control, and with the AF gain high, as not to rely on the AGC on CW with a BFO, so it doesn't matter to me that it doesn't have a product detector, and I like that receiver a lot. Anyway, so with that, it goes to Steve again. N4LQ, WF2U.
Yeah, it's Steve again. Anybody else want to check in tonight? Call N4LQ. Oh, nothing but a void. Anyway, let's see. I got a couple of things. 40 watts carrier on that thing. That piques my interest, Mir, and I'm not sure how it does that, but it reminds me. Let's see. The KC4IUQ, Mark, the guy here in town, has an ICOM. Oh, let's see. What is that thing? A 746, I believe it is. And the manual says 40 watts AM. But it's 100 watts on sideband. Now, according to my understanding, if you run 40 watts carrier and you have 100% modulation, that gives you 4 times 40, 160 PEP. So normally a sideband rig is limited to 25 watts, but there's 2 of them that I've heard of that say 40. Now, the way around that would be to use less modulation, limiting that to some much lower value, which I wouldn't think you'd want to do. So I don't know what the deal is. If they've got bigger power transistors, RF output transistors, and they can actually handle 160 watts at 100% modulation, you could figure out the current that the power supply is allowing. I don't know. It's something about that just doesn't seem right, and I just wonder about it. And I wonder if apparently the manual says 40 watts, and that's what the ICOM manual says on that 746. So I'm a little confused about that part. And on 3885, all day long, there's been some nut on there, QRMing people. And this morning, on his own, he just sat there he was on 3888, and he was on AM, and he was hollering and whistling, and he would count, and he made it up to 5 one time, which was surprising. And then he sounded like a CB or something, and then he'd whistle, and then he'd swish his BFO up and down the band, and that went on for hours, and just, and I know it's probably the same guy that does it at night, just trying to QRM everything. So it's probably some displaced CB or something that's on the wrong band, but anyway, I just wonder if anybody else has noticed that lately. And okay on the sludge, John. Sludge. I had sludge in my tank, and it was so bad I decided to get rid of it and just put in the tankless. And the plumber recommended a sediment filter. I don't have a well, so it used to be a well. That's probably where the sludge came from, but I don't get much in that sediment filter. It's got a valve on it. I just opened it up every couple of months and drain it into a bucket, and then throw the bucket out the window. So that's not a problem. So Boone, I don't know what the deal is. Maybe it's just my ears, but I tell you what I'll do. I'll go back and listen to us on the recording and see if I can hear a difference. But it just seems like something changed. But I copy you just fine, no problem. Anyway, and if anybody knows of a ham rig that transmits 500 watts other than Globe Kings on 160, let me know. I can't figure out what that would be. KN4R, N4LQ.
N4LQ, KN4R, very good. Well, you've covered a lot of ground there, Steve, and very interesting on the 3885 Former. The official observer Corps, was on that and maybe did some DFing. I don't know, but sludge. I don't even want to think about sludge in my hot water heaters. And 500 watt transmitters. Well, there's a KW. Oh gosh, hold on a second. What's the 500 watt Collins transmitter? I can't. 30K one. That's one, Steve. And but I don't know. Not a whole lot of them in the 500 watt class, I guess, that I can think of. So. I'm in the recliner, by the way, so I'm fading away. And okay on the modulation question. So let me just keep it going here, and I think I sent it to John, JPL. My list is over. Well, actually, I think. Hold on a second. Let me get up.
Goes to Boone.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was thinking. Okay, take it away, Boone. WA4EBK in the group KN4R.
KN4R in the group, WA4EBK. Yeah, it's pretty rough tonight for noise and everything, Steve, so I'm not sure what's going on. I'm just glad I can get out there. By the way, this thing is rated, this transceiver, Full Yaesu, is rated 100 watt sideband output, and in the set of firmware I'm running, you can run it in carrier. However, they sent out a new firmware that I haven't loaded yet that cuts it back to 25. So I'm not sure what's going on there. If I'm on here solid with the carrier on for several minutes, it will kick the fan into high, so it is heating up a little bit. But I'm not too worried about that. I should have something else on 168 in too long anyway. I've been looking around. And maybe I can find one of the AF67. like you suggested. That would be ideal. I can plug the power supply right in. The only problem with that is I'll be limited to 20 watts unless I build another supply for it alone, which wouldn't be too big a deal, but right now I'm just flat covered up with projects, so we'll see how it goes. If I get the amp going, it won't matter. You just drop the power supply back and forth to this, from a 67 to this 68, and we'll go from there. And with that, I want to send you on up from here. WF2U, take it, WA4EVK.
Yeah, Roger. WA4EVK, WF2U. Yeah, very good, Boone. Good copy. And yeah, I didn't have to even shift anything, just down to filter number 2, and it's much better. And Steve, you thinking of 100-watt transceivers? all these marine transceivers are 150 watts PEP on sideband. Plus, actually, I read that almost all of them can you adjust the ALC, and they would do 200 watts with no problem. Because don't forget they are made like almost indestructible. After all, people's lives depend on it. So they derate it a little bit to have a less of a failure rate. And as it is, it's 150 and so 40 watts on just an average antenna tuner meter is right on the ballpark. So I'm not worried about it. It actually works out perfectly with 100 and 150 watts is not even. I haven't measured it actually on, but I have to. Well, actually, I have a bird. I can measure it on with a single tone. That wouldn't be a problem. But the best thing is to do it with a scope and calculate it from the voltage on 50 ohms. So that's why I'm not surprised and take it 40 as it would be normal for that kind of power. Anyway, so what else? That's basically what I wanted to comment about this, and so we'll see how it works out. I had to look at the microphone connections for the JRC marine transceiver because it comes without a microphone. It has an 8-pin connector, and I just found the what goes to what, and I can get the connector itself. And although I can get just like an aftermarket dynamic mic, and I could just rewire it if necessary. But I'll worry about it next week when I get that stuff. Brian doesn't know yet, but I'm getting 2 more of these marine transceivers. One is a JRC, and the other one is a Furuno, which is another Japanese manufacturer, which is actually very, very common in many boats and ships. And they make a lot of marine radars for the commercial marine market. So I guess back to you, Steve. N4LQ, WF2U.
Okay. Anybody else want to check in? All right, WF2U N4LQ. First of all, Brian, I don't see that Collins ever made anything that covered 160. I don't know about the ART13. It may have, but I'm talking about high power stuff, and 30K started out at 80 or 3.5 megahertz and up. So I don't know what the answer is. Apparently, the choice is pretty limited. It's funny why the LMAC and the smaller Johnsons and all that did. I guess the coil would be big. Maybe the coil would be so big they didn't want to put it in the rig, something like that. Oh, here we go. Yeah, the ART13 goes down to 2, so that would have to be modified too. So I don't know. Not much out there except Globe. So somebody find me a Globe King out there. It runs 500 watts. I can find a place for it here. Anyway, let's see. And Mir, I guess that explains it then. If it's rated for 150 watts, then that certainly makes sense. And Boone's situation there, I don't know. That's interesting. They come out with firmware that cuts the power back. That's progress. But maybe they're just trying to protect it, keep it from burning up. I don't know. Anyway, we'll keep our eyes open here, see what there is out there. Well, I think I'm about run down for the night. Sounds like everybody else is too. So let's just have a 73 round and call it quits for the night. KN4R, N4LQ.
Hey, Steve, very good. KN4R returning, very good. Well, enjoyed it, and I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend and a nice Christmas day on Monday. So 73s, and over to you, Boone. WA4EBK, KN4R.
KN4R in the group, WA4EBK. Well, 73s, everybody. And Steve, Brian, I guess I'll probably, and Mir, I'll probably see you, and maybe the entire group, see you on the Old Friends Net tomorrow at 4. I should have my linear back together by then, and maybe have a little more power out. Enjoyed it. And I believe now it goes over to W4JPL. Go ahead and take it, John.
Alrighty then. Well, I'm going to say 73 to everybody too. Hope everybody has a good evening, and I'll look forward to chatting with you fellers tomorrow night. Hopefully conditions will be a little better without the splatter, as it were. 73, God bless, carry on. Go ahead, here's WF2U, W4JPL.
Yeah, very good, Boone. 73, have a good night, and we'll talk to you. I hope you'll be on the Old Friends Net tomorrow. And Brian too. And Steve, I'll talk to you tomorrow. And I'll have the AF67 on standby just in case people don't like the way the SICOM works. But most likely, considering the way it sounded on your recording, I think it's definitely tolerable. Okay, so with that, I'll say 73 to everybody. Have a good night. And what time is it? Oh, it's almost time for me to go. I might just play a couple of minutes with that beast and just listen around with us a little bit. And we'll be there tomorrow. So M4LQ and the group, this is WF2U clear. Good night.
All right, Mir. Your AF67 is probably sitting over there with a big frown on its face. 73s, everybody. See you tomorrow at 4 o'clock. N4LQ.